baby.
Oh my God. Okay. So it's not. But you're leaving in. What time is it?
Well, she's ahead.
3 hours.
She's leaving at like 3 in the morning.
3 an hour. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Right? What? Yeah.
That makes sense.
That litter on your butt. But I'm not picking it off.
Come here, you little complainer.
Hi, Shell. Where have you been?
Who'd you say hi to?
Shell.
I think my chat froze.
Well, the fact that she's letting me touch her paw with the spoon and let me pull that out without even like opening her eyes, that's good.
I think he's going to be a terror.
I just think he's personable. I think he's going to be a lap kitty. You get a number by wanting a number, and somewhere way down, I actually wrote out the numbers and the people attached to them. So if you scroll down 1,000, was it on this one or was it under the other? Oh, it might have been under, yeah, it must have been under the little darlings chat. So I'll look at it. I should pull up the spreadsheet. But if you email me that you want a number, I can add you to the list and then tell you what the number is. Yeah, you've been 37 over a year. And then there are people who took their numbers out of their name. So when I do my checks and updates of the spreadsheet, if they don't have the number in their name, they get taken off. Because I'm a horrible, mean person.
That's why mine's still in there.
Because the whole point for me was to be able to see who has been watching from the very beginning. So if it's not there, then I don't know.
What's funny is because when you first were doing that, I had just came in to watch your chat and stuff. So it was opportune time. I'm like, I want 12.
Well, I think Janice was like number 1. And I know she hadn't been watching from the very beginning. But she was like, I'm good to do this. I'm first. And I was like, okay. Good timing. Hi, get here.
He looks up at Sarah.
Yeah, me. Yes.
And it's like, Mama, Mama too. Baby, Inessa.
Kittens. Who's 44 and 42 busy? If you do you count if you don't have a number? You are still very appreciated if you don't have a number. But
John never got a number.
no, he got a number. He just didn't put it in his name. They offered to give you the 42, John. I think it was Rika who got it. I'd have to look. It's been a while.
If I didn't leave it in my name, I'd forget what number it was.
Well, yeah. But that's why I did the whole sheet. Because, you know, I don't remember anything.
Look at him. He's trying to get more tuna.
I know. It's not me who does. It's the tuna.
That's
Well, because I try to update the list, and people had gotten their numbers, and then some people forgot what numbers they had because they didn't put it in their name. And so in order to try to stop the confusion, I took the list I already had and I went through all of the followers and looked for numbers and then updated the sheet. So periodically I go through all of the followers and I look for the numbers and then I update. And so if the numbers are gone, you're out of luck, but I still love you.
Oh, she scared herself. That's so funny.
Well, my whole thing, well, the reason we did it to begin with was because suddenly the people watching number like quadrupled. And I went from having like 20 viewers on a good day to like 200 or something. It was ridiculous. And John went up to like twice as many as he had. And
like over 2,000 or something.
yeah, it was like, but he also had a new litter, I think. But it was, we could believe it on his, but for mine, we were all like, there's no way. And I don't think Shelly was on yet.
Did you see how many followers she
Oh my
had?
God, she had like 8,000 and something people watching. So we, in chat, decided that anybody who is watching, I was like, tell me, if, you know, even if you're a lurker, just say hi, and I'm going to give everybody numbers, and then, you know, put it in your name, and then we'll start being able to tell how many people are really here, so that throughout the day, even if people go off, when new people come in, we'll give them numbers, and within a day or so, we'll have a good idea of how many people are actually really watching. And so we started doing it, and after a couple of days, the numbers got corrected through live stream, and it was like back down to 19. Or it was probably even less than that. There were some days where during the day, when I first started, it was like 10. I think 7. It was fun.
Did you ever go back to your old events and look at yourself in chat?
Oh, watching the video? Yeah, I was trying to pull clips of them. But the problem was that I had the free account when I first started. This is what upsets me. Is that I had the free account. So a lot of the, and I switched to the paid. I don't know when I switched, but so I lost some of the video. And I was actually thinking about it because I was going to look to see if we had the adoption day still, if I had the adoption day still, when I came home after, not even the adoption day, when I returned them to best friends, Fleur and her kittens, and I came home and I was totally traumatized and like a mess. And I immediately came home and started cleaning to heal my pain. And I forgot to turn the camera off. And I came home with the camera on and was sobbing and cleaning at the same time.
Oh my God.
And then I realized it, and I like looked at my phone, and Janet, who doesn't really chat, but is one of the women who bought the dishwasher, who's been awesome the entire time, she was watching, and I think Beatrice was, and Beatrice, and you know, the regulars. I think Meta might have been Darm, and I realized it, and Janet was like, it's okay, we're crying with you, just keep cleaning. I'm like, okay. I just kept crying. And then they all asked me to do a Gia and Johnny chat that night. And so I came in with Gia and Johnny and let them play on cam. And I sat there all, but I think that might have been the night, no. I can't remember what night I said a bad word for the first time. And they all got excited.
They were all happy.
Yeah, they were like, she said shit. And I was like, if you only
Or was it
knew.
Jesus Christ?
No, that I said from the I'm sure. No, it was like a bad
word. Probably the F word. Oh my God, I love how you wash your paws.
Yes.
Inessa, you're so cute. You're a beautiful little girl.
You should have seen me even the days before I had to bring them in because I knew it was coming. And so this must have been so pitiful to watch me in that whole first time. I mean, it's still pitiful to watch me go through having to let the babies go, but I was a mess. That's when Stan even came to Best Friends and met me there to see the bottle babies and to see Fleur and her kittens after they were fixed in the cages. And I was like, I think I spent an hour leaning into the cages, petting them.
But it's nice to know that Fleur has a wonderful dad now.
Yeah. Yes, he does. I know. I'm sure that's what people like to see, the tears. I think it's not that they like to see me in pain, but I think it's people don't foster because they think they couldn't handle letting go of the pets, which is why I didn't foster or even volunteer, because I just didn't think I could handle it. And truthfully, sometimes I can't. And so I think it was kind of, I think it's interesting for people to watch somebody still go through that much pain and letting go, but then continuing to foster. And how important the support is, so that when you don't want to, and I said it when it was going on, if they weren't all there watching, like invested in the cam, and I felt the way that I felt, I would have not continued fostering. So honestly, the only reason I kept fostering was because of the people watching the cam. And not because I was doing it for you, but it was more, I knew that people were giving so much support and were rooting me on, and that
he wants down. I was trying to help him down.
I've done it, I know. But knowing that, I had John who said, just get new kittens, and like was trying to help me, and then I had everybody that had been supporting me and helping me, and then, raised the money to get the computer, and then John built the computer and wanted to help. And so it was kind of like, how do I not keep trying to save little kitty lives when I have all the support? And so I had to just push through and just cry a lot.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm so glad you kept going.
And I said, she pinched that kitty. I saw it and heard it. She did, you're right.
I'm terrible. I swear to God, he spent like 3 minutes walking back and forth on the edge going, I went down, I went down, I went down. I'm like, I finally got tired of him going back and forth, back and forth. I go to pick him up and he goes, holds on and goes, wink.
I know, he does that with my shirt when I try to put it down. Do I keep, I'll do Rob. I can probably do a Rob and Faye tomorrow. Rob, Faye, Fiona, and Fig. What was the...
Remember, she has to get ready for a trip.
Yes, they're the fosters, the adopters. Charlotte Dot's mom and dad send me pictures pretty regularly. I of course want them every day, but I totally understand it's not right. Trouble and Angel's parents are amazing. And I've mentioned before that they had Denise and I over for dinner. She sends me pictures and texts me, and she reminded me that it was Trouble's birthday and then Angel's birthday, and she sent me pictures. And I just found out that they donated money to Kitten Rescue on behalf of Trouble and Angel, which always I cannot even believe when people do that. And she bought some Trouble t-shirts on the Cafe Press store, and some other Trouble stuff. And I'm still trying to find some Angel pictures that are of good enough quality, because I didn't have really good, my phone was really old and stuff like that back then. But I'm looking, and then I'll put some stuff left there for that. But they're amazing. And who else? There's Denise and George. They love them.
And they have their own Facebook page.
They do. They're the only ones who've done the Facebook page. And Tucker and Kayla, I got pictures regularly for a while. If I texted her and said, can I get pictures, I'm sure she would. But they were obviously, the last picture she had sent, they were both smiling in the picture. I mean, I swear to God, they were both smiling. And Kayla always had this like serious look on her face. And it just made me tear up when I mean, she was freaking smiling. And Tucker looked all chubby, and he was such an emaciated kitten that it was amazing. And they looked so happy. So, I mean, all of them, I still wish I knew where Fleur's kittens and Holly and her kittens ended up, but I'm lucky to have what I have. And I get to see pictures of pictures and videos of Gary and Clark all the time.
We were sharing, or I was sharing video tonight over dinner of me trying to get Clark to meow. It was just mostly me going, Clark, Clark.
She's like bugging him, moving him.
He's like dead sleep. And I'm like, Clark, Clark. Just moving. No, girl, you're so pretty. You're going to be gorgeous. But I'm really glad, I was saying before, that you kept fostering. Because I wouldn't have this fuzzy little puppy bunny.
I know, he's so cute. You wouldn't have been sucked into the kitten cam world because John wouldn't have sucked you into chat.
No. I actually sent John a private message before I met you, before I even watched your cam, and it was kind of like a one-word response.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, or yes, or no. I think it was a no. It was an answer. I asked you a question about, what did I ask him? Something about if you got a radio station up there, a radio show about tech. And it was a nice little paragraph I sent him, and then at the very end he responds with, no, doesn't sound familiar, and that was it. No other conversation. I'm like, great.
I miss you. Oh, I'm like, when John wrote so much for privacy, I'm like, what shit? And then I realized he was responding to something else.
Oh.
Yeah, no, when I first started, I sent him an email asking questions about his cage and all of that stuff. His response was so basic that I was like, Jesus Christ, man, just kidding. Like, what kind of cage? Like, because I asked him about his lighting, and he said, it's a lamp up there or something. Like, it was, and I'm like, what kind of lamp? I hadn't even met the man, and I'm like, John! For God's sakes! And then I guess he said, I don't even think they make my cages anymore or something. And I'm like, okay, but like, how are they connected? What is, and it was just, oh my God. And then he got more helpful. So I think he realized that I wasn't just some girl who was like, I was thinking about doing this, talk to me. And I was more like, I'm going to do this. Would you please give me some information? And then, don't be a dick. Like, it's just like, come on.
Have more than one word answers. John, we love you. We're just teasing.
At least you asked me where I purchased something. Because you would have just said, the store.
Where'd you get that? The store.
You are becoming more verbose, yes. Slowly but surely. Vera.
My chat's behind, damn it.
And then I had emailed Cassie too, with some questions because she had just set up her computer at the time. And then I get back like 2 pages of like advice. And I'm like, oh my God. But, difference between women and some men, not all men, but, the women. And then it's like Shelley with ringworm. Shelley had she had just started dealing with the ringworm. And how many litters did she have at that point with the jungle kitties? She hadn't been around that long, but we all knew she went through the ringworm thing.
All right, the jungle kitties, how many were there?
1,000.
And they all had ringworm?
Yeah.
Were they all the same litter?
Yeah. There were
Because
the
it
wild
seemed
jungle
like there
kitties.
were like 7 or 8 of them.
There were so many jungle kitties. I remember watching one night, and she had them all in the bathroom, and she had to do the ringworm treatment. Like, it scared the shit out of me. Excuse me, scared the crap out of me. And it's when I thought Faye had ringworm, and I emailed her and asked like, so any suggestions? We can't, like, when you do a test for it and take a sample, it takes like 10 days to find out. And she sent me like everything that she did, which Jenya then got a copy from Shelley, and Shelley sent Jenya all the information when she got ringworm, but she really had ringworm. But I remember watching her treat them all in the bathroom, and she came in at night and she sat down in the bathroom on the floor and just one by one put the light on, the special light, and checked them and then did treatment and all of that, and then she put them down. And at one point, I was looking at it, and there was a hill, like a mount of kittens all in front. I'm like, are there like 1,000 kittens right there? There were so many of them. I could not, I thought it was like a little like a regular litter. And I think it was, I mean, obviously they were all in the wild, so I think some mama just like,
Had to have been a couple.
Somebody knows how many there were. Hold on. Yeah, it's called the wood light, but it's like a black light. 10 jungle kittens from 2 mothers. Okay, so there were 2 mothers, but I have a feeling the mothers were related because they all looked alike. They might have been mother and daughter. Multiple litters raised as one. Yeah, we think that, but they did all look alike, so there was at least a similar dad or something.
Yeah, but
and they were like the same age.
And there was no way to tell them apart.
They all looked like jungle kittens. They were so gorgeous. I mean, they still are, but Vera said, I sent John at 1 p.m. the other day. His response was 2 words. He said, sorry, Vera, sometimes I backslide. Sometimes I take forever to respond because I have so many freaking emails and I have no brain. Denise has been experiencing the brain cell damage that has happened from the migraine.
I felt bad after. I'm like, okay. I sent you a note. I'm like, okay. I can't have anybody here.
Denise wanted to come over, and she wanted to be helpful, and she was probably really bored for being at
I
home.
was, well,
And
I
she
was
was like,
home.
can I come over and play? And I'm like, no. And she thought I just didn't want her to come over, and because she's never had a migraine before. And I tried to, like, I was like, no, I don't even know. And then I was like, I can't have another human being in the house making noise.
I was kind of a pain in the ass, actually, when I was like, because I started getting worried. Because John, like, sent me a note saying, did you break Sarah? I'm like, what did I do? That was like Sunday night. I'm like, no. And then I'm watching her and she comes in and she's like, where's the bunny? I can't see anything. Like, I have no idea what's going on because I've never had a migraine. But by the 5th day, I started getting concerned. I'm like, you should go to the doctor. No, don't worry. I'm like, telling me not to worry is not going to make me not worry. I'm still going to worry. It's just the way I am. And then I said something like, if you're telling me fuck off. Just tell me fuck off. Don't be around.
And I was like, yeah, I'm telling you, fuck off, but in a loving way. No, I didn't say that.
You were thinking it.
Well, I was laughing at that point because I knew you were going stir crazy, and you weren't normally that sensitive. And if I had said I can't handle any extra noise, you would have been like, okay, but you were in bed going stir crazy.
No, but at the end I said, okay. After you explained, I cannot have the noise of anybody in the house. I'm like, okay. And I said, okay.
Yes.
And then like 8 hours later, you're like, you want to come over Saturday or Sunday? Or
Well, 8 hours
Friday?
later, my head finally was like easing up more. And that was the whole issue, was besides the fact that my brain cells still aren't working. And my body was in pain for days after the migraine even ended. It really, when people get migraines, everybody's different, but the light sensitivity and you know how noisy it is out here. And I had to put earplugs in and put my sleep mask on. Yeah, and I have really good earplugs, but the idea of another moving life in this house was not I was gonna turn into a monster.
Well, it was hard for me to understand because I never had one. And I was trying to be sensitive and not be a jerk. But I was like, I want to help and I want to see kittens.
Hi, Susan. See, that's what it really was. She wanted to see the kittens. She didn't care about me. She wanted the kittens. She was watching the cam and she's like, I need to see those kittens. I'll come and change Taylor. I'm like, no. Come on, Sarah.
You're depriving me. You're depriving me of kittens.
And every time I would have to look at my phone to text back, it hurt. So I wanted to be like, stop making me look at the phone.
John goes, Sarah hulking out.
Totally.
Sarah smash.
It was so bad. Thanks, Susan. I'm so glad I'm feeling better. I'm still, like, my body is still very angry, but not like it was. Well, and I haven't had one that bad for a couple of years. So, and that's why I told her not to. Look, I would have been worried if I had had it going for 5 days and I hadn't experienced that before. I would have been like, I have a brain tumor. I must be dying. But I know what it is, and I know the difference between like a regular bad headache for me and migraine and the aches that are different. So I wasn't worried. I just really wanted it to go away.
I was afraid that you were getting sick and that, not sick like a cold, but you were going through something that you like missed KCC and.
Oh, so it really was about you. She's like,
well, yeah,
oh,
of course. Isn't it always about me? I mean, why would I not?
It's always about me. It's easy for you to imagine Hulk Sarah, Sophie, because there is a Hulk Sarah.
I'm scared every once in a while. I really am.
Yeah, I used to be really scary when I was younger.
See, I'm not the one to be scared of. Everybody says, oh, watch out for Denise.
Denise is strong. I'm scary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I can be scary. I choose not to be scary. Every once in a while, it slips out a little bit. But I love the people I love. I prefer to be a kind person. I don't like mean people. But if I run into mean people, then the Hulk Sarah comes out.
The Hulk Sarah is really just honest Sarah.
Yes. But I think that one of my skills is that in that honesty there's
diplomat? No,
there is, what's the freaking word? My brain cells make it really hard to be good Hulk Sarah. I don't say anything I don't mean. So, and I process my thoughts quickly when I'm angry. So it can be rather, tongue lashing can be rather painful for some people.
But I prefer that. I prefer someone honest than beating around the bush and not knowing where you stand. We were just talking about that, like the shirt. I brought her a shirt. Would you like this shirt? She goes, no. I'm like, okay, I'll take it back. And I started out with, hey, this is one of my favorite shirts, and it's shrunk. And would you wear it? No.
I didn't say no. I said no.
And then so I gave it to Goodwill because I was never going to fit into it.
Some of my filters, yeah. With the migraine, when I'm in pain like that, my level of patience is very low, and that's why it's better for people just not to be around me.
Brutal but nice. Not brutal.
I'm not brutal. I think I know how to express communicate pretty decently without upsetting people usually. If I'm friendly with somebody, then I'm honest, but I have good communication skills, but I also, when I get annoyed, I believe that I have the right to get annoyed usually. And if you have confidence in how you feel about something, then no one can argue that. Nobody can argue with the way I feel. They can disagree with the way I think about certain things, but not how I feel.
Yeah, Susan, I remember that.
John says, Sarah doesn't upset people, she just makes them feel guilty. Those Jewish genes.
You know,
they always say that, and I don't think you can make anybody feel guilty who doesn't already have the guilt. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you've always said that. You're like, it's not me. Guilt comes within.
I can't create buttons on people. I can only push them. And so if you've already got the button, that means that you already have the guilt. Because it is rare that anyone can make me feel guilty. Denise knows. Because if I hurt her feelings, or if she thought I meant something that I sincerely don't think I didn't mean, then I will be like, I'm sorry, that's not, like, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. No problem. I don't have this huge need to be right. And, it's like, I was told years and years ago, what price are you willing to pay to be right? And that changed my thinking in a lot of ways. I really don't need to be right, but I have to be true to myself. So I'm not going to have people close to me or in my life who don't agree with what I know is truly me and my world. And you experience a lot of that when you start fostering. I had to have, when I committed to doing this, a lot of people were like, you're doing what? You have a kitten? What the hell is that? But what will people think? That you're a woman and you're not married and you're going to have all these cats and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's what I'm doing. I even had to say, I said that to my mom. She was like, you're doing what? You're sitting using a camera and talking to people while you have kittens? Are you crazy? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm crazy, I don't know. But I'm gonna do it. Because I don't make decisions like that without thinking it through. And once I make that decision, it's the decision.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I guess a lot of people aren't like that. They kind of aren't, they're not thoughtful in their decisions, and then they'll do something and they'll have not thought about one of the repercussions of it. And that's when, if somebody gets upset with them, and they're like, well, what? But this affected this, or why did? And they'll be like, oh, I didn't think about that. And that's when you have the power to make somebody feel guilty because they weren't thoughtful. I overthink everything. So before I did this, there was a lot of planning.
Oh, I would imagine.
Besides going to Staples and all the duct tape and then the everything. I mean, I like the right litter box and everything I thought through. But I thought about how it affect my work, how it would affect my relationships and like friendships and family and time and on and on and on. And so when anybody questioned any of it, I'm like,
but it's your life.
right, but not a lot of people own their own lives. I know this is deep conversation for the kitten camp, but it's Saturday. But they don't. I think
that's
they don't
interesting.
own their decisions.
That right there, that's a really interesting. Not everybody owns their own life. That's actually deep.
That is deep.
Seriously.
But they don't. Most people, they lie to themselves more than they lie to other people. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that human beings have, is they try to convince themselves of their own lies. And I don't lie to myself. And I really don't lie to other people. But I especially make sure I don't lie to myself. If I'm going to BS somebody, I know I'm going to BS somebody. And I don't pretend to myself like, oh, but I had to. You know what I mean? And I think when you're honest with yourself, it also makes it harder to do things that are not decent. Like when you talk about people who cheat on their partners and like that kind of stuff, I can't talk myself into it's okay because,
right.
But I've always been kind of black and white morally, and in business it's the same thing. Either you have a set of standards for yourself and you stick to them and you think that that is the standard, or you don't. And if you don't, then people have the power to press buttons because you feel like there's that guilt, like you don't think you're reaching that standard.
It's really, when you come to a situation where you think, okay, I want to live a certain standard, you want to, whatever that is, I've run across this a lot at work. Own up to things that you've done. Like you have an opportunity, you ran some command that brought down a server, and or brought down a process. And you actually have an opportunity to not tell anybody that you did that.
Right.
So you come to a crossroads. Do you own up to it and take responsibility for it? Or do you just let it slide? And everybody's going, well, what the hell happened? What the hell happened, right? And the easiest road is to slide, not own up.
Short term, it's the easiest.
And that is short term.
Right, but long term, that causes an effect.
It could and it couldn't. It depends on, in this situation, it could and it couldn't.
But psychically for yourself, and I'm only saying because that's what I think is the difference between many human beings, is that I know that if I don't say something, especially when you work with finances, even if it would have never crossed their path. They would have never known. I still will say, I just wanted you to know that this happened and I did this and that's why this took longer or whatever. Because I know that when somebody doesn't, it's even the smallest things. When they're like, I'm just going to brush that under the carpet, you're not owning your life. You're not owning the choices you make, good or bad, or lessons. We're all human. You're not allowing yourself to be human in somebody else's eyes. Then down the line, it starts affecting you, and you start feeling like a fraud, or you that you're not just sweeping one thing under the rug, and they start building up, and then you start getting paranoid, or there are different ways it can affect other areas of your life. But that little decision affects so many things.
I agree. But in work mind, I think it's easier. In feelings, I think it's harder. like to tell someone whether you like them or not. You have an opportunity to take the easy road and say, okay, that dress looks great, or no, I think you should change. There's feelings result. Well, that's a bad analogy, but I think in work it's easier. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships, most people have trouble doing that.
Right, they think short term and not long term.
Yeah.
They don't think about, I mean, it's not that I'm all about karma or anything like that, but it's kind of like friendships, relationships. Say you're dating somebody and you don't want to date them anymore, and instead of just saying this isn't working out, you just blow them off and you stop calling them.
Mm-hmm.
Short term, you're like, that was easy. You know what I mean? But long term, you end up dating somebody else, and then they end up being the best friend of the person you know what I mean?
And
they're like, that is the guy that never called, you know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, I truly believe that if you don't make choices with integrity, you never know when it's going to show up and affect you. And because I also care that if I hurt someone else's feelings like that, because I just didn't have the courage to just be honest and compassionate and say the truth, if asked, I don't just offer it up and like, okay, that was my truth, suck it up. You know what I mean? That's mean, I think. But when people want to have that kind of discussion, and I choose not to do it just because I don't want to, that's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something, in short term, I think most people want that short term fix for them, and they don't care how it affects other people. Or they care how it affects other people, but they just don't want to deal with it right now, and they'll deal with it later. And then it happens later where it comes, bites them in the ass. They're like, why does that always happen? Well, because you are a liar. And I believe that people lie through omission.
Mm-hmm.
And most people do not get that you can lie through omission.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you have to tell everybody everything, but when somebody says,
they're looking for something and you
when
have the answer.
they should have the information that you have, and you just don't offer it because you don't want to, when you know that they really should have that information, then
you also have an ulterior motive.
You're
you
selfish.
Have your own agenda.
Yes. And see, that's the thing, is I own up to it when I'm being selfish and I'm being an ass. I'm like, I'm being an ass right now. She knows, I tell her all the time, you don't want to come over, I'm being an ass. I'm unpleasant, I will say mean things.
But you've never really said anything mean to me.
But people, I have facial expressions that are like, give complete paragraphs.
You have conversations in your head with full-on facial expressions. You have conversations, and I just like watch you, and you're like, you have this whole thing. And I just watch, and I'm like, eventually she'll say something. I'm not sure, but
I'm processing whether or not I should say something. And so, yeah, a part of it is what goes through my head. Thank God I process things quickly enough that when people I care about are around me, I can think before I speak. Because I don't want to hurt people I care about, but when I'm in pain and not feeling well, that snarky side
well, I think everybody's pleasant.
Oh, I'm good at it though. I'm really good at being snarky and doing it with confidence. So it's kind of like whatever I say that's snarky will have a part, like it'll be like the one thing you're insecure about will be the one thing annoying me at that moment. And the last thing you need to hear is when it never annoys me. It never annoys me, but in that moment, because of whatever, that will be annoying me. And I tell you that, and then you will think that it always annoys me. And it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like when I'm not feeling well, everything annoys me. And like there is no reason for anyone to be around me when I'm like that.
Yeah.
Because it's me and it's my problem. And I've learned to control it more. But I know my limits. And instead of letting instead of just being like, okay, fine, the easy way, just giving in and being like, all right, come over, and then being horrible to you.
And then me regretting.
Or being like, I'm gonna stay in bed, you stay in the living room, don't talk to me. Instead of doing that, because you couldn't have used the vacuum or anything, so you wouldn't have been helpful.
No, I didn't.
But instead of doing that, I am honest and explain why. And then I trust that as an adult, you'll hear the answer and go, okay, that makes sense. And let it go. You know what I mean?
Well, it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to understand because
Because you were sensitive laying in bed and Gary was like, what, Mom? You don't want to stay here with me all day?
no, I was like, well, I was concerned and watching and all that stuff, but it wasn't until you said I can't have another being in my area that I was able to put myself in your position and understand that.
Okay.
You had to use those words. The words, don't worry, don't help.
Well,
But I also understand that you only have so much energy when you're in that situation.
it was a pain in the ass looking at the phone. And I knew that if I didn't, that's why I thought through my response to you very clearly when I wrote that I can't have another human in the house. Because if I had to type any more to you, I was going to get mean.
Well, that was easy. Wasn't it easy to say, I can't have another human being in the house?
No, when you have a migraine and you feel like somebody is hitting you with a hammer.
Well, yeah.
I mean, seriously, hitting you with a hammer in the head. I could barely type. And this freaking phone, the correcting spelling thing, or the deciding what word, like I shut off the thing that picks the word for you. Right, but that means that I have to do the commas and the apostrophes and all of that, and it doesn't do it for me automatically. So when I'm having to do that and erase and correct and look at this bright screen and somebody's hitting me in the head with a hammer, I want to be like, oh my God. Like I would have just thrown the phone down and like you would have thought I died. And you would have shown him my door and I would be like, get that. So I tried.
Oh, okay.
I thought through the repercussions of how I responded. Do I throw the phone down? Do I say, go away? Do I, and it was like, I need to clearly and as quickly as I can explain this. And most people would have just thrown the phone down. Most people would have well, I wouldn't even look at my phone. But I knew that if I didn't, you would, like I had to. You would show up at my door, which I appreciate, because God knows if I fall in the shower and kill myself, if I don't respond to you for like 2 days, you should probably come to the house because the cats are gonna be hungry. If you don't see me for like 2 days, maybe a day and a half, let's say a day and a half, and I don't answer my phone or I don't text back, you can come over. Or like call my dad or something.
I don't have your dad's number.
I'll give you his number.
But the thing is, it was like...
He wouldn't know anyways.
You're like, I heard a phone.
Yeah. It might have been the cats eating her.
But that did cross my mind. I'm like, should I just go over there and see how she's doing? I'm like, if you live maybe 10 minutes away, that was more of a possibility. But to drive an hour, I was like, no. Just answer my text.
See, that's how the universe has taken care of me. Having her live out there. Because I'm such a mess sometimes. She'd be at my door like every day. Because I'd be like, I don't want to talk. She'd show up and be like, oh my God, I hate you.
And then she gave me an opportunity. You want to come over Friday or you want to come over Saturday? I'll come over both days. She was like,
no, it was fine. I like spending time with my friends if nothing is hitting me in the head with a hammer. And if my body, I mean, haven't been sleeping well still. Going to bed at 6 in the morning is ridiculous. So my body is not happy. I'm still like in pain. But I can handle being around other human beings as long as there's not a hammer hitting my head. And every noise isn't like there's a speaker amplified in my ear.
I am so glad I've never had a migraine.
Dirk says, Denise, just watch out for the taser when you go over.
I can see that. Do you have a taser?
Everyone knows that I have giant weapons here, and that I will kill anyone who tries to come into my home.
I'm just hoping that I could just see her like take this and just jab it in my eye.
Anything can be a weapon, and I have them hidden all over. My dad made me paranoid at a young age.
All right, John. Go ahead, take Sarah's side.
I didn't want to look at the phone because the light was bright. Even when you dim it, it was too bright with the migraine.
It's really hard when you're a friend and you care about someone. The fine line of, are you okay? Should I come over? Should I back off?
But see, that's the problem, is a lot of people do not know how to be honest and say, yes, please come over, or no, don't come over, but I do. So if somebody says, do you want me to come over? I will say, yes. When I had the dirty kittens, when I hit that point where I was like, I cannot do this anymore right now, I need help, I said, yes, come over. But I don't do the whole, I can handle this, and not wanting to look bad or not wanting to need help. I have no problem accepting help. I have been like, sure, clean the litter box. Most people, I'd let you see the house like in ways I would never, nobody needs to see me. But
it's not that bad, guys.
But I don't, that's why I am blunt or honest or direct. Is that I have no reason to lie to you and say, no, because I want you to beg me to come over. I don't need you to, I don't need you to pretend, I don't need to pretend that you're making me let you come over so that I don't feel vulnerable. I think people don't want to be a burden. So if you say no and play the martyr, and then somebody is like, no, really, I'm going to come over, then you can be like, okay, you twisted my arm.
Okay.
And then you don't feel like you look so desperate, or that they were doing you a favor, because God forbid anybody do you a favor. You know what I mean?
Right.
So many people can't let other people help them. And I realize that it's a privilege to be kind. I've had the opportunity to help people in my life on a regular basis that I care deeply for or barely knew. And it's an opportunity that, I don't want to say it's like spiritual, but I think it's a privilege to be kind. I think it changes who you are in the core. And so as much as I feel like I can accept help without shame, because I'm willing to offer the same help to people. And I do. And when I started fostering, it was like, I'm willing to die for these kitties, and die of sleep deprivation or poop toxicity. I don't know.
Never heard that.
It probably doesn't exist, but in my mind, when the smell is like suffocating me, I'm being toxically poisoned. And she may kill me at some point.
She'll scratch.
Yeah, she'll kill me with her claws. But that's it. I'm like, I totally, when somebody is willing to have the courage to be vulnerable enough to allow another human being to help them, that to me is strength. Not just to help, but to allow, to put your ego away enough to let somebody help you. So it goes both ways. If I was a selfish ass who was never willing to be of service to others, then I would probably feel guilty. because there would be that underlying shame of like, but I don't do anything for anybody else, then it would be really hard for me to like accept your help, and I'd have to be like, no, it's okay, Denise. But I'm covered in poop. It's okay, I'll handle it.
I find I'd rather help someone else than be helped. I don't, not be helped, but I find more joy in helping other people.
John's all, what we are seeing here is a Sarah and Denise friendship becoming stronger. No, we talk like this all the time.
When a lot of the time when we sit on the couch, she's got her computer, I got my computer. We're doing our own thing.
We can have a pee break, John. It's okay. But I think she needs to go home and feed the cats.
No, I don't remember. I do need to go home, but I fed them before I left. Remember?
Oh, what time did you leave though? I thought before your hair appointment.
I went back home.
Oh, okay.
I had to go home to get my computer and all that stuff.
Oh.
I was not going to take it to the hair or leave it in the car. I didn't want to do that. And then, so yeah, I stopped by home. I changed, put makeup on, as much as I did. Oh, John, take us in with you in the bathroom. I'm sure it's too late to say goodnight, Uncle.
Oh, Uncle went to bed. He was like, I'm so over this deep shit. It's really not even that deep. We get tired and we ate a lot, so we have like these, what we pretend are deep conversations. But we probably make no sense.
No, she makes a lot of sense.
Mama. Denise knows I don't even remember what I say.
No, the only thing you have problems with are just remembering different words. And I have the same problem, so.
No, I forget more than that.
At dinner, I was like, what's that word? And she's like, I have no idea.
I just start going through list of words. Punch, bookers. Just keep going on and on. I'm that helpful friend. She's like, I'll figure it out.
And I still haven't figured out what that word was. Tribute.
Tribute?
Yeah.
Like an altar.
Yeah, that was it. That altar.
If you had said tribute, I would have said altar.
Damn.
Malhaj?
Yeah, George has the bookcase
Altar.
with all that was an altar with all the angels' paraphernalia, giveaways, everything that he ever got at an angel game. And I couldn't think of the word. It was an altar to the Angels baseball game, team.
Mama, dude. Maybe she is too afraid to come out.
I hope you didn't miss, John.
She's calmed down.
She's asleep?
Yep. All the kittens are up on her. Well, except for, Ceci's over there?
Inessa.
Oh, really?
Inessa is just gorgeous.
She's such a girl.
She is a girl.
A shrine. That is good. Yes, a shrine.
Let's see if I can show this to you.
You can't. Oh.
At one point, she was like this, with one arm over her nose.
My God.
And off and on, I pet her.
She's a good sleeper. She goes to sleep before everybody a lot of the time.
Oops.
And Denise's gonna wake her up. Keep moving her.
She's not waking. I'm even gonna touch her.
Good night, Shell.
Night, Shell. She has the cutest little black nose, little eyeliner. little black toes.
That's okay, Lizzie. You'll be around plenty of talking when we're all in Seattle. So cute.
Lizzie, how do you like the hotel? We're too fast?
We might have been talking too fast.
Don't you speak English? Australian English?
I talk fast at least.